I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities of Music. Today we're going to review Shabazz Palace's Black Up, which is hugely hyped, hugely getting positive reviews everywhere. We'll get up there.
Yeah.
Tom, you know some history about this. What's up with Shabazz Palace's?
The lead guy goes by the moniker Butterfly, and he was in a rap group called Diggable Planets in the early 90s. They had an album, I believe, come out in 93 and 94. Now, I haven't actually listened to them. I plan on doing that. I was just doing this research very recently. And from what I hear, there's a lot of jazz influence on them, a lot of real instrumentals and things
which is reflected
backing them up, which is reflected here. Now, this is more electronic, kind of experimental rap, but you get a lot of kind of jazz rhythms based in the beats.
Especially on the back half of this album.
But after Diggable Planets broke up and went their separate ways, he had the project called Cherry Wine, which I believe came out with an album in 2003, early to mid 2000s, and then was doing some other stuff and formed Shabazz Palaces. They had a couple of EPs, which I think just came out last year or maybe the year before, caught the attention of Sub Pop, and this is the first rap act that Sub Pop has signed. So there you go, charting new territory.
I love Sub Pop.
Yeah, they're a great record label.
They're
they
fantastic.
Really are. So, Shabazz Palaces, very experimental, these electronic kind of washy sounds, lots of processed rap vocals. That's probably going to be pretty hard to get used to for a lot of people because it's not something you hear in rap a lot. I think the closest thing we've gotten to this is Ghost Poet, and that's even a lot more lot more focused,
mood based.
I'd say.
Yeah, and it's a fuller sound too because this sound is very awkward at times.
It is, and at first I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
I listened to this once and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't like it at all, really. And now I'm to the point, I came up pretty high on it, and with every listen, I liked it more. I got what he was doing a little more. I appreciated how these songs just morph halfway through, or maybe 3/4 of the way through, randomly on most of these tracks. So it's very progressive from that standpoint. It's nice to see a rap album that's 10 tracks and no filler.
Yeah.
There you go. Here's 10 rap songs as if it was a frickin' indie album.
Yeah. And filler is a kind of a big problem in the rap genre.
It is. Oh, totally. And that's why a lot of times you have rap albums that are like 16 to 22 tracks long. You'll have skits, you just have weaker rap tracks, and here it's very much compact quality.
Yeah, and Tom, I was kind of had the different listening experience than Tom did because I listened to this the first time on my nice headphones at work, and I was like, holy crap, this is such a unique take on rap, on hip-hop in general. It's so, here's this electronica edge to it with the beats and everything and the mixing, and I even got moments of Flying Lotus in some of the beats, and I was blown away by how unique and different it's just so different. And then after a few listens, that kind of wore off, and I kind of broke it down, realized how it was structured, how they mixed it, how the vocals and the gentleman provided his rap, how he provided his delivery, the lyrics and everything, and I kind of came down. So I started probably mid to upper 80s and came down to where I'm settling at, which is upper 70s, which I think is where you at. So we kind of went like this, but that's okay. And so to take it there, the first thing that I gotta say, and I got this tip, confession, I got this tip from Anthony Fantano at the Needle Drop, with most of you guys out there watch, but do not listen to this album, I'll reiterate, do not listen to this album on crappy small speakers. If you have iPod earbuds, well, throw them away, first of all, and if you really like music, go invest, $50, $70 on a nice pair of headphones, or just you listen to it on good speakers, because the beats of this is at least, it is the majority of what's cool and unique about this album, and what everyone's buzzing about and hyping, getting all this hype on this album and giving such positive reviews, 80s, 90s, 100s on this album, is because of the uniqueness of the beats and the production in general. And that's something you all need to know and just be upfront with
key
before going into listening to it. I think it makes the listen. From there, I would encourage you to take it a step further than even some of the other reviewers out there, not Anthony, but the written reviewers out there across the board. And I feel like some of them have kind of missed the boat. They're just writing this thing off as just being brilliant for its uniqueness, and that's only half the damn story.
Exactly. I hate it when people do that.
Yeah.
Because being different and being just new. A new sound does not mean it's good. New does not equal good, people. It can.
It's definitely a part of it.
And here it does, actually.
Yeah.
But what frustrates me is when people just say that and don't explain how.
Yeah.
Don't explain how the newness is good.
Yeah.
And here it certainly is, and we're going to explain it.
And here's how. I think that the beats, you get a variety of different beats. These beats, you could just sit there and take all the vocals out, take everything else out, and just listen to the beats, and you would be entertained. That's something you can't find at almost any other rap release ever. Ever. And not to mention all the different styles that are incorporated. You get darkness, you get street, this old school style in track 2, and echo from the hosts that profess Infinium. I mean, these crazy track names here. You get jazz influences, we talked before, lots of different mixing, lots of different sound samples in there, and even the vocalist he provides this old school style with this new idea, this avant-garde artistic drive to it that I think really provides just that unique edge that I think is what's the most alluring thing. Now, I kind of personally think it's a double-edged sword, because while you have this big beat foundation, the vocals are produced to be and mixed to be a little bit quieter, and there's not, you know, a lot of the choruses, when there's choruses, is, you know, just these chants or raps or rap lyrics. It's not necessarily a full sounding chorus, and a lot of things, just the weight of the sound is all on the beats. And what I think is you have a very one-sided listen when you have that. And while the lyrics are good, the delivery is great, and the concept is good. I just don't feel, I feel like it's more of an artistic niche listen than something that's really rewarding, that really evokes the emotion and the soul behind the music, which is such an important part of music. I just feel like that's missing a little bit, and that X factor might be something that actually is kind of troublesome for people to get into, like myself. That's what actually brought me down from where I was at, going, yay, and something new and different and avant-garde, to, this is great, but it could have been just so much more.
Another way that the beats are different in a good way, that I will explain to you how, is that a lot of times in rap you have these constant beats that are very just, you know, on rhythm, and not only do these incorporate these off rhythms and these kind of staggered feel, but they're sparse, kind of, in spots on here, where, you know, instead of having a kick drum or every 2 and 4 of the measure, you know, just all the time, then it'll skip. It'll cut out for a while. And then when it comes back in, it just reels you back to it. At least that's the effect it had for me. And so from that, I'm like, wow, you know, that really is cool.
And that is an example of great songwriting and structuring. And that's something that really is lost on a lot of music, a lot of rap, a lot of rock, a lot of pop, you name it, is just really structuring and songwriting and writing your songs so that they bring people in rather than making them bored and going, oh, I know what's coming next. That's important.
The one thing that I really do, and I value this about the album, but I think that it's one of the biggest things limiting it for me, is that it's almost so free-form that it's just floating in space.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's anything anchoring this album down. There's nothing that just solidifies it and says, this is a statement I want to make. It's just kind of like, here's a bunch of weird stuff that's really interesting and good, but just not quite as, I don't know how to put it.
And I think that's punctualized, Tom, because track 10, Swerve, just kind of ends. It doesn't really have a finite ending to it. It just kind of, it's over. And then you're like, okay. And that's where I really want that anchor that you're talking about. And to me, that is enough to do, while I still think it's very good and there's lots of it, it's enough to put it in the upper 70s. I'm going 77.
I'm going 79.
It's 78 overall. Don't love it as much as everyone else does, but we still like this a lot. Something you should probably definitely check out, especially if you're into rap music and want to hear something fresh. Check this out. Really, everyone should, because it's just such a eye-opening listen. Tell us what you thought at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. Facebook, Twitter, do it down there. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.
It's a go. Now if you talking about it, it's for show. But a nigga move about it, then it's a go. Yeah. Now if you talking about it, that's show.